Hey guys, Sagesaurus here with anime discussion slash review for Boku dake ga Inamaki, or Erased. I know it has different translations, but I call it Erased. I'm going to refer to that for, simplistic terms. So let's get into it. In this picture you see Satoru, the main character, and Hinazuki, also the main character, I'd say. Very focal point. Both of them are a big focal point of the story. So I'm just gonna say it right now. I feel like this has all the makings of a great anime classic, guys. We're only 3 episodes in. Unless they botch it later on, which I don't really see happening at this point, this is gonna be a great anime classic. I said it. Other people might think it. If not, oh well. If it happens, it happens. I feel like it's gonna happen. I have a lot of faith in this series so far, and we're only 3 episodes in. But yeah, let's get into it. Episode 1, you have pretty simplistic story. Satoru works at a pizza shop, drawing manga on the side. He's not really going anywhere with that. And we figure out he has this power of rewind, which if something bad happens, he goes back in time to right before it happened, and he has to figure out how to, prevent that bad situation from happening. For example, in that first episode, kid ends up getting hit by a truck. It rewinds. He has to figure out what happens, and he sees the truck driver's unconscious. I thought he was unconscious. I thought it was pretty funny because he actually ended up just being dead, but they played it off like he was unconscious, which was pretty funny, kind of dark but funny. So he ends up, preventing that situation, steering that truck out of the way of the boy, but ends up getting hurt himself. And then as the episode goes on, we figure out that back in his childhood, this girl, Hinazuki, is murdered along with 2 other small girls at the age of 11. And as it goes on, his mom comes back to visit. And yes, people, I'm going to go into spoilers, so go away right now. I'm recommending this highly. If you watch it to this point, watch it, please. Watch it, please. Come back to this video, and then you can see my thoughts on this, and we can talk about it together. But moving on, you have been warned. But his mom comes back, and stays with him for a bit, and they both start looking into the murder again. I forget how it honestly came up in the first episode, because I'm still stuck and hung up on episode 3 because of the craziness that was just awakened in me from that episode, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But they start, talking about this murder, him and his mother, and trying to figure it out. And his mother starts piecing together the guy that was wrongfully accused. An older guy at the time was a friend of Satoru's, Yuki, was supposedly wrongfully convicted. He said he was innocent and was convicted and thrown in jail, and then it was done. Everyone thought it was him. It was over. But the mom starts piecing together how it might have not been him and starts finding information, contacting people. And at this point, I'm starting to get worried for her because I feel like she's getting too far in, because prior to this, there was a man watching them, and I started getting scared for her life, in honesty. And I was rightfully so, because when Satoru's mother gets home, she is ambushed, stabbed, and killed. And oh man, that moment freaked me out. Didn't see it coming. And Satoru gets home. He actually passes the man who does it. They make eye contact. He goes in, finds out his mom is stabbed. But from turning her over has blood on his hands. The neighbor sees and automatically jumps to the conclusion that he has done it. She calls the cops. They're there within a millisecond. I don't know, the police headquarters must have been right around the corner. And they chase him instantly, don't even question him. And as that's happening, he teleports back. Rewind activates. And instead of going back right before this happened, he actually goes back to when he was 10 years old. And he has to figure out who was the real killer to prevent it from happening to his mom so many years down the road. And this is where the story takes a turn where you didn't really expect. So now we go back and he needs to befriend Hinazuki, help Hinazuki, because in order to find the killer Hinazuki is connected to, he must save her. And he also regretted not doing anything back in the day because he would see her alone in the park and he wouldn't talk to her. And he regretted what happened to her. She ended up dying as a result of being alone in that park when he could have been there to help and save her. But as episode 2 rolls around, we meet the characters. We meet Satoru's group of friends. Now, keep in mind, he's a 29-year-old in a 10-year-old's body. So he has to, like, curb his speech, and he kind of, like, plays the people because, you know, he obviously can't let anyone know that he's 29 years old. But he curves his thinking, and this gives him a leg up in the intelligence department. But he also has to be careful because he might have the intelligence of a 29-year-old, but he doesn't have the strength of a 29-year-old. He has the strength of a 10-year-old. So with episode 2, we're introduced to his group of friends, which one of them stands out by the name of Kenya. I'll bring that back up later. But Kenya's a very smart, intelligent boy that, I don't know, he just sticks out of the group, and I'll get back to that. Very suspicious. But episode 2, we get introduced to all these characters. We get introduced to lovely Hinazuki, which their relationship is so adorable, Satoru and Hinazuki. I'm hoping, this is a guess, I'm hoping that he saves her and, you know, he gets to meet her when she's his age and, you know, the romance will take from there, but their relationship is really nice right now. Granted, it is a 29-year-old, so you can't really go too far with that because his mentality is very much above hers, which for a 10-year-old, Hinazuki is very aware and intellectual about her surroundings and the situations. Granted, her background is horrible, but we'll get into that in episode 3. But episode 2, we're introduced to all this, and it's very touching because Satoru gets to have a meal with his mother, and it's all very touching. But he has to do this alone. He can't tell his mother what's going on. So he goes to school, you know, acts out like he does every day. Just plays his day like he would when he was a 10-year-old, doing the same things. And we start seeing signs of Hinazuki being abused. You can see marks on her and stuff. So, you know, it's pretty obvious right then and there, but that obviously goes way more in depth with episode 3. And speaking of episode 3, you know what? I'm tired of stalling. We're gonna get into it because that's one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video. Episode 3 comes around, and Satoru and Hinazuki are starting to make a bond and everything. He has to figure out what day her birthday is because the other 2 girls that were murdered were 11, and Hinazuki was 10, not fitting that MO of the killer of being 11, so she died before her birthday. And her birthday ends up being the same day as Satoru's, March 2nd, if I believe. So between the date it is now, which is somewhere in February, I'm pretty sure, he has to save her and figure it out by that time because I don't know how the rewind works. Like, if he doesn't prevent it from happening, I don't know if he's going to have to live his life up until the point he was at before, or if he's just going to go back, if he's going to get a second chance. I'm not sure. That'll be answered later on in this series, I'm certain of. But as of now, we don't know how it works, so we're going to assume he only has one shot at this. He has to do it now. It's do or die. For Hinazuki, that is, but also Satoru, since he's getting in this very dangerous plot, really. And like I said, keep in mind, he's only a 10-year-old, so if he gets too deep in and someone older tries to overpower him, there's not much he can do. He has to do this smart and intellectually, outmaneuver his opponent and figure it out. So, well, like I said, with episode 3 here, we start seeing suspicious characters. We have Kenya, who, like I said, he knows more. He seems to know more than he leads on. He's very intellectual, just like Hinazuki. For 10-year-olds, these kids are freaking very observant and smart. Because Hinazuki knows there's not something right with Satoru. He's a liar and a fake, just like she is, as she says. And Kenya starts realizing that, it's not said or anything. It's implied that he's, something's off with Satoru, that he's acting differently. We're also introduced to the teacher. Yashiro, I want to say his name was. I just refer to him as the teacher. But the second he is introduced, when he puts his hand on Satoru's shoulder and Satoru turns around and just the creepy lighting and the teacher's creepy smile just give off such a sinister and suspicious vibe that you automatically suspect him. Yeah, so he figures out Hinazuki's birthday through that, and he ends up going to Hinazuki's house, which, oh guys, this is the scene that got me. It made me feel such rage. I don't think I've ever felt such rage towards a character for what they did to Hinazuki, which is Hinazuki's mom and boyfriend slash father. I'm not sure what he is yet. When Satoru finds her in the shed and she's beaten and she's just like, close the door, just so ashamed of herself, doesn't want anyone to see her like this. It's hard to look at because, it's a very realistic thing that can happen in real life in this story that it's just sad to see. It really is. It's tough to watch. And her mom comes out and she's like, oh, tell Satoru what happened there, Hinazuki. And Hinazuki says she fell. She's obviously brainwashed into, playing it safe. She doesn't want to get beat anymore, so she does what she's told. And Satoru is just taken aback from this. I was taken aback from this, but, it's obvious when someone's in that situation that they have to comply. She's only a 10-year-old. She can't really do much, in the way of power. She can run away, but I don't know. It's a very delicate situation to be in. But that was the shed scene. The ice water scene, which comes next. Oh, goodness. That was my rage. I never had such emotion derived in rage in an anime where I just wanted to hop through the screen and punch her mother in the face and save Hinazuki. This is a fictional story, but to derive that emotion from you and feel so bad that you can't help and save this character, even though it's a fictional story, well done. Bravo, bravo, because that's what you want in a story. You want to get that emotion. You feel sad, and you feel the defenselessness that Hinazuki does because you can't help her. You can't save her. You just have to sit back and watch this horrific event happen as her mother plunges her face repeatedly into ice water, trying to take down the swelling, telling her, like, oh, you have to take down the swelling by Monday, or otherwise they're going to see that I beat you. We got to hide it, blah, blah, blah. And as the boyfriend father just sits in the living room, smoke, booze all around him, just, hey, save me some ice water. Neglection is just as bad as the beating itself. Both of them are at fault and are horrible. I hate them both. I hope they get their comeuppance when it comes later on in the series. But yeah, that was hard to watch. Ugh, man. And then we have Satoru takes Hinazuki to see a Christmas tree, and the scene was beautiful. It was really a touching moment with the foxes running around them and ran. Just amazing. And when they go to this tree and look up, just the visual on the tree, the feelings were amazing, and we see it. We see Hinazuki smile for possibly the first time in her life. She smiles looking up at this tree, and her smile brought a smile to my face of genuine happiness that her character could finally achieve such happiness to smile. It was just really well done, really well written, and it shows that their relationship is moving forward, that he's starting to make a bond with her, and it just makes their loving relationship a lot more nicer. Like I said, I want the romance to go somewhere. As of now, it's kind of halted since he's 29 in a 10-year-old's body, but they really hold a connection to each other, regardless of the situation behind it, trying to find out the murder and everything that he has to, go to her and save her. I feel like there's genuine feelings between them, and I really hope that goes somewhere. But now I want to go to a portion where we talk about suspects, who we think it can be. Now, granted, Hinazuki is found dead under snow. What she killed there was her body planted there. We don't really know the circumstances of how she died. There's the option that her parents beat her too much, that they just dumped her body there and that it wasn't the murderer. But we don't really know. Murderer-wise, there's a few suspects. There's Kenya, which he himself, anyone's possible of anything. It could have been Kenya, but as a kid, I'm not sure. And at the end of episode 3, we see Kenya talking to the teacher, which is another suspect. Are they in cahoots together? Like, is the teacher having Kenya recruit these young girls to lure them and end up killing them? I'm not sure. Kenya is a suspect. The teacher is obviously a suspect. The parents are also suspects. Not that they would go to, start killing people, but they could have been the ones responsible for Hinazuki, not the other two girls, but just Hinazuki's death, because they obviously don't care about her well-being or safety if they're beating up on her every single day, it seems. Drowning her in ice water, neglecting her. Ridiculous. Sorry, have to quell down that rage. It really gets me, that man. Whew. But yeah, those are all suspects. And I also suspect, I'm throwing this out there, I don't know if it's true, keep in mind, please no spoilers in the video, because it's going to ruin it for everyone. Everyone likes this. I like it. But I feel like it could maybe be Satoru himself. Because I feel that red-eyed man looks similar to him, and we don't know, ladies and gentlemen, how this rewind power works. If it was somehow him in an alternate timeline, like I don't know how deep the rewind power is going to work, if it was solely for this to happen, him going back in time as a plot device, or if it goes deeper, such as like time traveling in like Steins Gate, if it's like another off branch of Satoru and he somehow does this for some reason or another. I'm not sure. If maybe when he got the power when he was younger, it split off and maybe a portion of him in like another world got fast forward instead of rewind. I'm not sure. I'm not sure to what extent it will go to in that regard of time traveling. But yes, I have the theory that it could be Satoru himself, but that's just a theory. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. I haven't heard or seen anything that people think that, but I feel that it could be Satoru in a weird way. Like I said, there has to be some reason behind it. Obviously, Satoru wouldn't do that without reason. Why would he kill his own mother? Is it going to have to come down to his mother, Hinazuki? I don't know. Something to that magnitude, maybe, but I don't even know who he would choose in that situation. But that killer looked awfully sinister, and even if Satoru would be driven to that point, I feel that him himself wouldn't do that in such a sinister way. He'd do it out of regret. That's why I feel that if it is Satoru, it's like a split off of him, maybe, in like a different timeline or something like that. But like I said, I don't know what extent that's going to go to. And then with Kenya working with cahoots with the teacher, we don't know what they talked about in that third episode, but who knows, they could be working together. And we also, how could I forget, have the suspicious character of Yuki, Satoru's childhood friend. He's older, and we don't know. He's the one that was convicted of the crime, sentenced to death row, or life in prison. I'm not sure which, but, either way, your life is wasted. He pleaded not guilty. He was still in jail in the current time, but we go back and he hangs out with Yuki a bit this past episode. He is the obvious choice, but I'm not sure. Satoru takes note that he curved his voice to talk to him, but adults do that when talking to children. That's not like, oh, he's the murderer instantly. But he's always, a character. You can't rule anyone out, really, so he's also in there. So top suspects, I'd say, would be Yuki, Kenya, the teacher, and maybe Satoru himself at this moment, and then Hinazuki's parents. But who knows if, Hinazuki's death is even connected with these other two. It's implied that it is with the other two girls that were 11, and she was just killed a little sooner before her birthday. Who knows if it has anything to do with that? I'd assume so, since Satoru's mother is killed on the validation that she's becoming aware of who it is and figuring it out. That's why she's silenced. But other than that, I'm not really sure what let me find the words here. Who the killer could be or what his motives were. And like I said, if Hinazuki is connected with those other two, it's implied, but who knows. Like I said, at this point, it's only 3 episodes in. I just wanted to talk about it now, get people into it, see other people's thoughts, all the makings of a great anime classic. I'm saying it again, but just everything, the visuals, the story, of course, the story. That's why I'm here. But the visuals are also great. The soundtrack is good. That opening is amazing by Asian Kung Fu Generation. Uh, the visuals in that are great. I feel like it might have some hints in it. I'm not sure. There's some iffy things about the opening, like I said, like with the whole is it Satoru thing. Satoru, there's one scene where his mother, Hinazuki, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting her name. She's the girl from the first episode. You know, we were barely in that timeline. That's why her name is slipping my mind. But she's also there, and not Hinazuki. Behind Hinazuki, his mother, and that girl from the first episode in the, current timeline, in his 29-year-old timeline. Satoru is standing behind them, and then it switches to the killer, and then blood washes over them. So I don't know if that had any connection to it being Satoru. I'm not sure, but yeah. And then it ends up showing his mother and Hinazuki with blood pouring over their pictures, and it's just really good representation. Like I said, the song's amazing, really catchy. Asian Kung Fu Generation did a great job with that song. The ending's not bad either. But yeah, guys, I think this might be one of the longer videos I've ever done. I've never really talked about a series this in depth, but I feel that this series needed it. It's still early on, but I wanted to get to it now because those first 3 episodes are just an amazing setup for a great anime, a great story, and perhaps a great anime classic. Who knows? We'll have to see as it goes farther on. But as of now, I'm going to call it and say it's going to be one of the greats. It might be a stretch, but I feel at this point it's okay to say that. So if you guys haven't watched it, well, if you guys haven't watched it, you wouldn't have watched it this far into the video because there was tons of spoilers. So sorry about that, but I did warn you. And if you are watching it, which of course you are, if you've gotten this far in the video, let me know what you think in the comments below. Talk to me about it. Let's have some good conversations about it, about this amazing show, anime that is Erased. And subscribe and all that. And I'll see you guys next time. Have fun watching Erased. I know I will every week, waiting with anticipation. Alright, guys. Sayonara.